This week we're with a special guest, Chad Hymas, who is a friend. Went to high school with Maria and I, and he was a great athlete. Maria tried to say he was cocky. I never saw any. Probably because I was cocky too. However, so we want to talk with him because his entire life is a great story and a lot of great experiences. We want to talk to him about mentors for one, but first I want to talk about staying mentally strong. What does it look like for you to be mentally strong, and how do you stay that way? And share with us any experiences, to illustrate that and stay mentally strong.
That's a fair question. Thanks so much for interviewing and taking the initiative to do something like this. I think it's great. For me, Chris, as far as mentally strong, is being first to admit that I don't always have to be. And I'm not always mentally strong. And so being willing to admit that and realize that not being mentally strong is okay, and that I don't have to stay in that place, that I have found, whether that's through counseling, advice from my wife. I read a book where it's given me some sort of input on how I can get through those moments that I'm not mentally strong. I need to recognize that I'm having those moments, because there are times where I'm traveling, or maybe I'm having a little bit of a rough day where I'm not being, the person that I know that I can be. I would call that not mentally strong. Mm-hmm. So there are tools out there, whether that's been given to me by a mentor that I've had, or somebody that's given me some advice, or maybe one of my kids have talked to me, that I can put some of those tools to use to help me get back to that mental state. The second thing that I would say is that when you're not in a good mental place, it's okay to be there. It's just, for me, I don't want to stay there too long. Otherwise it gets to be deeper and darker, right? And so I'm okay to go into a not so strong place. Maybe it's reminiscing where my body used to be, or how Shondell and I's relationship used to be prior to the accident physically. Maybe it's playing some ball with the kids. It could be anything. Mm-hmm. I'm okay to go there, which is not really a mentally strong moment, as long as I don't stay there. Because if I do, then it's, okay, if I only had this, then I could really do something. If I only had the use of this, maybe I could really get somewhere. And the truth is, those thoughts were probably true, but I never won that game.
Well, in my opinion, it begets more negativity and just takes you down deeper, and then you get stuck there and you don't even see where you're at.
Yeah. Negativity breeds negativity, positivity breeds positivity. I think you're absolutely right, for sure.
Cut that part out. So let's backtrack a little bit. One thing we started out, but we didn't talk about your life and where you were years ago, and how you ended up where you are now. So fill us in on that.
When you and I were in school, you probably didn't know this about me, but I had this passion for the outdoors. My dad and I spent a lot of time up in the mountains, and he would take me at least 4 times a year to his brother's house, my uncle, and he's a cattle rancher. When I say cattle rancher, I mean die hard. Small little home, little house on the prairie, 300 head of cattle, and they needed help. Yeah. And so we would go up there and we would doctor the cattle and stuff. I fell in love with it. I mean, it got in my blood. I don't know that I ever shared that on the basketball court or in a dugout or baseball.
Never heard that.
So I got hooked really quick. And so after high school, and after doing a couple years of service, I ended up marrying one of the girls that we went to school with, just kind of like you, and I wanted to have a ranch. At that time, it became legal to raise elk in this state, and so because of my love and passion for these animals here, I thought, hey, I need to get some ground, and I want to start building this dream. The problem is it's not a family ranch. I didn't have the money. My dad, it's not gonna be a a freebie. So I started my own construction company to try and be the fuel behind that, kind of like our friend Carl McClary. Mm-hmm. He was a good mentor for me. You played ball with him. He's your age. These guys are. I looked at him and went and talked to him, and I started a construction company similar to Colin's, to be the fuel behind the ranch. Yeah. 6 years into that, out feeding the animals one night, made a bad choice on a piece of equipment, and I woke up several months later, and that's when my dad was in the hospital. When I woke up, and he asked the doctors to leave. The reason why he did that is because he wanted to talk to me, father to son. My dad didn't want the doctors to be the ones to dictate my future. So he told me right where it's at. He said that the doctors were able to fix all the broken bones. I broke a bunch of bones in my neck. And he told me that I was alive, and he was very grateful for that. And then I remember him swelling up. There was like a pause of about 5 or 10 seconds, and he said, you're not going to be able to use your legs anymore. You can't feel them now, and there's no cure for that. And he started to swell up. And he said, there's a little bit more. You're not going to be able to feel the majority of your body. And I'm going to ask you to be a better father to your beautiful wife, or as a father to your beautiful boys. The boys were 3 and 1. Be a better father to them. Be a better husband to Shondell. Be a better farmer. He said I could be a better farmer. And now I started to get this anger in me. I couldn't move my body, but I just felt like he was lacking credibility because he was asking me to do these things. I remember he asked me to be a better disciple. Whatever that means for you as a listener. I'm not saying you have to be religious. I'm just saying a disciple is someone that just goes out and helps other people. That's what disciples do. He wanted me to still be a contributor to the world. And he told me I could be a better farmer. And that's when I said some things to my dad, to my mentor, that, dads should never hear from their sons. I said those things to my dad because I thought he lacked credibility. My dad walked out of the room because I think that it was his way of curing his hurt for me to be a better person because he was dying. Here's his son, one of his best friend, or all of his sons were close to him, but my dad wanted to take my place, and God was not going to have that happen right then and there.
Yeah.
And that was his way of, saying, hey, I need you, son, to pull through because this will kill me. If you don't, I don't know that I can live through this as well. This is killing me to get this news.
That's tough for a dad to sit there and watch their son or their daughter.
Your son, you would want to switch in places. I have sons, I would switch them. We all would. Mm-hmm. So I understand that now. I just didn't understand it back then. So he left me alone, came back, and he said, are you ready to be a better farmer, or are you going to be like this stubborn horses that are out on your ranch? He said right to my face. And I remember my response. I said, Dad, I'm sorry about saying all those swear words. You should never hear that. I'm sorry. I apologize. But I can't be a husband to Shondell. I can't have children anymore. I can't court her the way I used to. My intimate life is gone. And that's what I was thinking, which is important in every man's life, I think. I said, I can't be a basketball. I can't do a layup. I can't dunk it anymore. Not that I ever did anyway, but I just use that as I can't shoot a foul shot. I can't be a farmer. I can't get on the horse. And I can't be a disciple. I can't even turn the pages on a book. I just said, so I don't, and he said, stop that right now. And he just said, what you notice about all those sentences? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He just said, you just made all those sentences about you, and I'm not here to talk about you. I'm here to talk about me, talking about himself, and all the people in the waiting room that I can't let you see because your influence and your attitude is going to hurt them. And you could be a farmer for them. And when he said that, I wanted to see my boys, so I had to make a decision. Was I going to stop saying the words I, me, and my and start focusing on them? And so that was so that's kind of the story behind the story. So kind of a quick word.
Yeah, awesome. Great story. And so Chad speaks all over the world and shares his story in for many different ways and for lots of different reasons, I'm sure, to the different people that it fits into. And so you mentioned too a little bit about your dad being your mentor. Talk about that a little bit and how what role he's had in your life. And
when I was pronounced a quadriplegic, my dad at that time was in the insurance business, and he was a successful insurance salesman for his organization, one of the top producers, and he gave it all up to take over what I had not finished in building a farm. So he gave away a very lucrative salary, bonus trips. You're in the insurance business, the people are incentivized by that, and he gave that all up and stopped and finished off my dream. And that was Chris, it's been 26 years, and he's 74, and he still does that today.
That's awesome.
We talk every day, and as you know, tonight there is a rival football game happening. He has texted me probably 8 times since you've been here, just to say, hey, we need to be talking tonight about the play-by-play. I don't know too many dads that are 74 years old that talk to their son every day, let alone 8 times to talk about a football game tonight. That really doesn't have a lot of meaning.
Right.
So,
well, I don't know any, so that's one.
I just think that I want to be a dad like him. I want to be. This is a great, example for me. That it's a great transition to move into. If I can be a dad like that, who doesn't get out and play catch with me, he's a little older, doesn't do a layup with me. I thought those were all the important things. And it's not. It's just being present in my kids' lives and letting them know, hey, you kids have value to me. Things I've done to help Dad out over the years, our circumstances have been a little bit different. You will never know the impact that you've had on my life. And so when my kids are faced with a mentally bad day, when they're faced with depression, and don't assume that they're not going to go through this. When they're faced with uncertainty or even doubt, or maybe the loss of a job, or maybe they financially lose everything, my boys are going to know one thing: their dad needs them, and that's how they fight that crap off. That's exactly what they're going to know, because I'm in very close contact with my kids. Just like I heard you talking about Mac right, your son, right? He wanted to go watch football games, and he said, hey, but this is our night. This is our night. That's going to mean something to him as that kid gets older. So that's mentorship.
That's awesome. It's a great thing. And I mean, I didn't even realize, we talked about this on the way out here. My dad was good in a lot of ways. His way, I guess you would say the way he mentored was he showed up to everything.
I remember that.
But he couldn't do all the other stuff that maybe I did need, and but you can't. We're only capable of what we're capable. So in his way, he did what he could.
He showed up.
He showed up to every. I don't think he missed
a
game.
I remember him. I'm a big guy.
Walked out on the field during practice one time, bringing me 3 different mitts to say, "Here, which one do you want? Why don't you just keep all 3? We'll see you later. I gotta go." And that's.
I remember that very clearly. He did what he could, and I think that's what mentors need. Mentors don't need to have a full cup to give to people. You don't need to have all the knowledge. Just give what's in your cup.
Give what you can.
Give. If you have a half a cup, a quarter of a cup, just give what you. And your dad did that. So I think
the most important thing though is you got to do something, right? So you can pass it on, and through what you're saying, and you're going to pass on to your sons, and hopefully I do to my boys, to let them know that, you let them know how important they are to you. And
that's it.
And then they'll take that forward, and
that's how they fight it off.
And they can, move forward and then pass that out to other people too. So
I think.
So tell us what you're doing today, and how the Royal Creek ranches are, and what you do with it.
So we still farm today, and we have horses and some cattle, and have a bunch of elk, and I guess that's what I used to think that farming was. And we have some acres, and I used to think that was something to be really proud of. I'm just being honest, because I used to think that that counting acres was a great way to measure success, and I have learned over the years that that's a very poor way to measure success. These tires on my wheelchair have taken me to 89 countries so far, and on all 7 pieces of ground that God made. That's a big ranch. That's a big. So today I farm people. I enjoy these animals, and I enjoy having them, and I like to look at them and watch them, and I like the outdoors a lot. But today I'm farming people, which tells you what my dad said in the hospital was right. I just had to look at it from a different set of bifocals, a different perspective, and learn to be vulnerable. That's not easy for men. That's not at all. But be vulnerable, and he's always there for me. And right now, I'm farming. I have a granddaughter now, like you. You got a grandchild, and so that's what I'm doing. Running the ranch and holding retreats and leadership retreats and farming people, using the animals as a backdrop.
That's a great way to put it. Farming people. I never heard it that way. Never thought of it that way. But that's really, because like we mentioned, you're going to leave this life with. Doesn't matter what you've accumulated. But
I think that's what you're doing with this video. We're trying to give people some knowledge. We're farming people.
Let them know you're not alone. There's a lot of people with the same situations.
That's what we're doing right now.
There's a lot of common ground. So
fair enough to say.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we are grateful, as always, for you letting us be here, talk to everyone. It's pretty impressive that what you're giving back. So thanks for having us.
You guys are always welcome. Thanks for coming.
Okay, great. We're going to be here tonight.
Yeah, for sure.